Today's video is a latest update concerning the US and the Iran. And remember that few days ago, President Donald Trump tweeted that Iran requested to have a meeting, maybe a meeting of the MOU or a meeting concerning the issue of Strait of Hormuz. And President Donald Trump says that the meeting will hold on Tuesday in DOHA. Now, Iran denied that they did not request any meeting with President Donald Trump, and they are not willing to do anything concerning the MOU or concerning President Donald Trump. But still, Donald Trump's decision shows that there will be a meeting. I don't want to say much concerning this. Watch this video. You will understand better. When we come back, we discuss.
Iran's foreign ministry says there are no planned meetings with the U.S. in the coming days, but President Donald Trump says U.S. and Iranian officials will meet on Tuesday in Qatar's capital, Doha. These contradicting statements follow an exchange of military strikes late last week, despite a ceasefire agreement.
Iran fight that we have, which we're doing very well. There'll be a meeting on that tomorrow in Doha, and to go into Qatar. I think they've already left, or they're just about getting ready to leave. So we'll see how that goes. But we're doing very well on that front. But the meeting in Doha is going to be perhaps important, perhaps not. We're going to find out. But we're winning militarily. It's almost won militarily, I would say. And it's really very simple. It's the denuclearization of Iran. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they've agreed to that, in all fairness.
Our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher, has more from the White House.
A great deal of talk, really, about domestic issues. And perhaps the idea that Donald Trump wants to move on from it was summed up in one sentence during that moment in the Oval Office, where he said everything except the Save America Act, a voting act that he has been pushing for some considerable time, is a big yawn. Clearly, Donald Trump would like to get talks back on track. He says the Iranians wanted a meeting. The Iranians say that's not the case. We are told that Steve Witkoff will be with the other negotiating team in Doha on Tuesday. Quite what they're hoping to achieve would perhaps mean an end to the fighting that we've seen, the breaches of the ceasefire from both sides. We are in a position where that has stopped for the moment. Clearly, there's a degree of frustration as well among the mediators, thinking that they'd managed to get both sides round the table. But it's just a reminder how difficult these processes are. Donald Trump says he wants to have the meeting. He says the Iranians want to have the meeting. The Iranians say no. Unless you're actually in the room, we're not going to know what the real answer is. But it's clear that Donald Trump wants to move on from this. Everything else, as he says, is a big yawn.
Mohammed Val has the latest from Tehran on the Iranian perspective ahead of a potential meeting in Doha.
Quite a lot of statements today by Iranian leaders, including the president, deputy foreign minister for legal affairs, and also the spokesman of the foreign ministry about the matters of concern today for Iran, including that delegation that is going to be sent to Doha. Contrary to what the Americans say, there will be, according to the Iranians, no high-level delegation for direct talks with the Americans in Doha. There will be a technical team that will be sent there to discuss not the next phase of political talks between the two countries, but rather the implementation, the level of implementation and the status of the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding. Iran has lots of objections and concerns and criticism regarding the slowness of the pace of implementation, including Article 1 in that Memorandum of Understanding about the ceasefire in South Lebanon, but also about Article 5. There seems to be a misunderstanding between the Americans and the Iranians about the implementation of Article 5, while Iran considers that that article gives it the prerogative and the authority to organize traffic in the Strait of Hormuz for the next 60 days, or for the 60 days of negotiations before reaching a final deal, the Americans seem to believe that Iran has just to step aside and let the traffic flow freely. And Iran has lots of concerns regarding the opening of new routes through the Strait of Hormuz near the Omani side of that waterway. They think that that has been done without coordination with Iran, and that it is violating Article 5 of the Memorandum of Understanding. Also, the Iranian delegation will discuss the unfreezing of Iranian assets, particularly after the Americans announced that there will be provision for $6 billion in Qatar to be released at the first stage. So that's something that is going to be discussed between the Iranians and the Qatari and Pakistani mediators in Doha. So there is quite a lot of things to be dealt with in the next few days, including also what Omanis are doing according to Iran. Omanis have to coordinate with Iran about passage in the Strait of Hormuz, and they shouldn't deal with other parties because that's a violation of Article 5. Those are also going to be matters for discussion, not only in Qatar, but also between Oman and Iran.
Let's bring in Jason Campbell. He is a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute, joining us live from Washington, D.C. Jason, so it seems that Iran is quite unhappy with the way that the U.S. has started implementing those articles of the MOU, specifically Article 5 about the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think that the U.S. should just back off and let Iran control all the routes through the strait so that the talks can move on to the nuclear issues instead?
Well, I think you're indeed correct that the very broad language of the MOU is the primary culprit of the dissent right now between the U.S. and Iran. I think in terms of the point number 5, for the U.S., I think it perceives this as meaning that the Strait of Hormuz will once again be open to international shipping as it was prior to the start of this war back in February. Iran obviously has a very different interpretation that they will maintain control over the flow of traffic, even if they will suspend any toll collecting or other revenue from it. And that's obviously a big discrepancy right now. I think the U.S. absolutely needs to, from a strategic standpoint, continue to press the Iranians that all major lanes remain open in the Strait of Hormuz. Whether or not they're willing to or able to come to some sort of a resolution on the funding question, I think will be probably pushed to another day. But right now, I think the U.S. wants to see all of the major areas of traffic, not just the one closest to Iran, back open for shipping.
Iran also wants those Articles 10 and 11 to be implemented. That is about sanctions relief and the unfreezing of assets. Do you think the U.S. has been dragging its feet on those issues?
Yeah, I think from the outset, again, part of the issue with this MOU, aside from the fairly open language, is the lack of sequencing or the lack of direction in terms of how this implementation phase will move forward from a sequencing perspective. And obviously, Washington and Tehran have very different ideas of what should be prioritized first. I think, yes, absolutely, Washington is probably dragging its feet in terms of the unfreezing of assets, and I think Iran has definitely voiced its concern with that, and that's going to be a big topic of discussion here, even if it's just through mediators in Doha this week.
Jason, you mentioned the sort of vague language, but interestingly enough, if we look at Article 13, it talks about the negotiations about the final deal. That's not going to start until the beginning of the implementation of those paragraphs 1, 4, 5, 10, 11, and the continuing implementation of those measures. So you've got Article 13 saying, well, you have to start implementing those other articles, or we're just not going to move on to the later stages of that. Is that another problem that's sort of built into the MOU?
Absolutely. Look, I think, ultimately this is very much open to interpretation from both sides. There's enough wiggle room that either side can point to one or probably multiple points and accuse the other side of not doing as much as they could or should in terms of their implementation responsibilities. And I think that's just a reality that both sides had to understand at some point when they agreed to proceed with the MOU as broadly written as it is. And I think that's just going to lead to this persistent level of uncertainty as we move forward. Even if substantive talks do begin, there's always going to be a question of whether one of those previous 12 points is being pursued as it should be by both sides.
So at the moment, we've got a situation where both sides ended up signing the MOU, but now it seems like we've taken a couple of steps back. Now they can't even agree on whether or not there's going to be a meeting in Doha on Tuesday. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, this is very difficult to predict. I will say that both sides have, I think, tried to take opportunities when they can to score some rhetorical points with their respective constituencies. When you see President Trump talk about, Iran asked for the meeting, Iran is begging for an agreement. And the Iranians are very quick to dispute many of these points as soon as they're made. I think this is just going to be a characteristic of things going forward. I think there will be engagements in Doha this week. Whether or not you get U.S. And Iranian delegations sitting in the same room, I would say probably remains right now below 50-50. But beyond that, I wouldn't speculate.
Jason, can I get your thoughts on this post by Donald Trump over the weekend where he again threatened the end of Iran unless they move forward with what's going on there in the MOU? These kind of threats from Donald Trump, and now he announced this meeting on Tuesday. What do these kind of threats do to the sort of environment or climate of these negotiations?
Well, it certainly doesn't help in trust building. And I think increasingly it also, I think from the U.S. perspective, you lose credibility when you keep making these types of threats over now weeks and months. If you recall, even early on in the war, there would be threats to increase the amount of bombing being carried out over Iran if certain maximalist points weren't being followed. And now we have the second time President Trump has threatened civilizational destruction if certain things aren't done. I don't know at this point that it's moving the needle all that much from Tehran's perspective. And I think it does just, it hurts the credibility of the U.S. side and probably leads to, again, a slower process going forward.
Do you know Trump's latest decision over the meeting with the Iran? Trump always says that the meeting will hold, of which Iran says that they are not interested with that meeting. Now, what is your opinion? Does it mean that Iran don't want to have peace deal with the US? And does it mean that Donald Trump don't know that Iran don't want this peace deal with the US? Because Iran really want to have nuclear weapon, and Donald Trump says that Iran will never have it. What will be the end of this crisis? What will be the end of this dispute? I don't want to say much. You that watch this video, drop your opinions in the comment section. Let's know what you think. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate. For more breaking news update like this, please subscribe to my channel. Turn on the bell so that anytime I publish the next video, YouTube will get you notified. See you in the next one, and bye.